All right, so we can close that. Let's take a. Oh yeah, what's that? Plata, do you want to send that to me on Discord or something? I can definitely take a look at it. I will happily watch that. What you up to, bro? Doing reacts on stream at the moment. Sorry about that. I do apologize. Japan proves excess deaths in vaccinated. Oh, this guy could well, let's do this real quick. Who is Dr. John Campbell? Want to make sure this guy isn't some like hack fuck. Okay, he's from Canada. That's cool. Where's his wiki? Is an English YouTuber, retired nurse educator who's made videos about the COVID-19 pandemic. Initially, the videos received praise, but later diverged into COVID-19 misinformation. He's been criticized for suggesting COVID-19 deaths have been overcounted, repeated false claims about the use of ivermectin as COVID-19 treatment, and providing misleading commentary about the safety of COVID-19 vaccines. As of March 20th, 3 million. Damn, he's got a lot of people. Early life, he grew up in Carlisle. He holds a diploma for nursing. The guy's a nurse. Okay. And has a PhD in nursing from the University of Bolton. So does this guy have any specialty in vaccines or anything like that? In November 2020, quoted from a non-peer-reviewed standalone journal abstract by Stephen Gundry saying that mRNA might increase the risk of heart attack. And said that it might be incredibly significant. This video was viewed over 2 million times within a few weeks. Was used by anti-vaccination activists as support for misinformation that COVID-19 causes heart attacks. According to factcheck.org review, although Campbell had drawn attention to the abstract typos and its lack of methodology and data, he did not mention the express of concern that had been issued against it. In March 2022, Campbell posted a misleading video about Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, claiming that Pfizer document admitted the vaccine was associated with over 1,000 deaths. Okay, remember to save chat before you end the stream if you just want to leave it up as is. Yes, I must figure that out before I end the chat. Yes, I want to make sure I do that. Is it up here in the settings? Okay. I mean, I'm gonna watch him, obviously, but it seems like he's coming from like good. I need to challenge my initial views and see what's going on. Can't run from it. Gotta embrace it.
Welcome to this talk. Now I want to bring some important...
Hold on, sir. Thank you, and I'm glad to be here, buddy. Let's do it.
Welcome to this talk. Now I want to bring some important information coming out of Japan, which seems to have a greater openness than other countries that could be mentioned to being aware about COVID vaccine harms. Let me give you some of the headline information first. Decide if you want to watch. Now this is from... Dr. Morikami, of course I pronounced that incorrectly, Senior Fellow, Molecular Oncology and Pharmacology, and we'll just look at his main points. And once we've looked at his main points, then we'll look at where he got it and the validity of this data. The more doses you get, the sooner you're likely to die. Talking about COVID vaccine doses, of course, direct quote. Now, these, of course, are all from basically Google Translate, AI translations, with no reason to assume they're not accurate, and we believe they are accurate, actually. They have been verified by Japanese speakers. The more doses you get, the sooner you're likely to die within a shorter period. So what he's saying here is if you have more doses, excess deaths occur more quickly for people that have had more doses of mRNA.
Well, the problem, though, is because if you're getting the COVID vaccination, I mean, you're still injecting COVID into your body. Still injecting COVID into your body. So, he used to be pro-vax and got two, I think. Got injured and has since been on a mission to find out the truth, regardless of decades of being part of and trusting the system himself. Now, Vividness, you already know, I love you, and I ain't trying to say nothing harmful here, but it's a little bit of a red flag when you say to find out the truth. And the reason I say that is just one thing. If he had a negative experience with the vaccine, he may not be seeking truth. He might be seeking, there's another word for, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but he's coming from an area where he might have felt wronged. They risked his life, might be angry about it. You know what I mean? Like, it might be that he's not seeking truth, especially because now he's got a massive YouTube following, he's got a massive audience. It's always possible he can get audience captured, and more importantly, there's a thirst and knowledge out there to blame vaccines. He could be, validation could be a thing that he could be seeking, or he could be looking. You know how when Ren was sick, and he was looking for anything and everything to like try to determine what was wrong with him, and he went down some rabbit holes and he didn't find exactly what he was looking for, and he tried anything, and then in your mind you can start piecing things together and they start fitting, and you can, so your mind. Okay, cool. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying in general, just for anyone listening. I'm not saying that this guy is doing that. I'm just saying in general. So like something that's really interesting is our mind, like the way it operates. Now remember, layman, obviously there are people way smarter than me. This man is probably way smarter than I'll ever be. I'll never pretend to know more than he does. But the way our mind works is it likes to seek comfort. It likes to seek things. It likes to know what's going on. So if we can't find out what's going on, our mind will invent things. Invent things. Well, he's not 100% fact-based based off of what he just said. Now, he's not wrong in what he said. When he said this came from Google AI Translate, we have no reason to suggest that it's wrong. That's not a fact, right? That hasn't been proven to be true. Whenever you say fact, fact means there's no way that it can be interpreted in any other way. So he's probably like close to a fact, but it's not like that one sentence right there was already not a fact. So he's not 100% fact-based. No one is. No one who's seeking truth is ever. But the reason why I'm saying all these things is because when you have, how do I say this? When you have like a, let's say there's like on a wall here, and you want to connect the dots to get to a point, because you know this point matters and you already have an idea what this point is over here. It's easy to start connecting dots. It's what conspiracy theorists do. And they use a lot of data, they use a lot of things that back up their thoughts, but sometimes they're wrong. I'm not saying that about him, I'm just saying in general, the way that it works for people. I have not watched enough to make that determination of him. Just the idea of truth is rough. Whenever I hear someone say truth in a thing, red flag immediately in the back of my head, because truth is by and large subjective, unless it's purely facts. Facts typically disagree with people that say I'm truth-based or I'm fact-based. It's a dangerous game because there's people like, you can see it in MAGA, you can see stuff like that. So I'm just saying, carefully. You know what I mean? But let's see what he's got to say. I mean, you could disprove everything I just said. I could be a total moron. I could be talking out of the side of my ass.
Occur more quickly for people that have had more doses of mRNA vaccine. I mean, this kind of data that's around.
But what I was saying is, the more that you take the vaccine, of course, it's going to be harder on your body. It's just, if you take a healthy person and a person getting vaccines, and the guy's never going to get sick from the sickness, the guy taking the vaccine is going to get sicker than the person not taking it. You're injecting something in your body that's not meant to be there. Now, the reason you take a vaccine is to offset the potential damage that sickness could cause. So you're causing some level of temporary pain and problem to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you're causing something to yourself, and the more you take the vaccine, obviously it's going to be worse on you. However, is it gonna be worse on you than if you got COVID without it? That's the real question. The question can't be, is the vaccine causing problems? The question has to be, is the vaccine causing less problems than COVID? And if you as a person are okay with that offset, that's okay. Like if you want to drive without insurance, 90% of the time you're going to be fine until you're not. It's just that kind of stuff. He is smart because he knows a little he actually knows. By fact-based, I mean he used these stats. Okay, yes, I apologize, yes. But remember, you can use facts to build up that argument. I'm not saying he's doing that, because like I can use a lot of facts sometimes to think, build up some arguments, and then people are like, you're totally wrong. And I'm like, hold on, bro, I looked at the data.
Now, and the fact that these vaccines are still allowed to be used is just incomprehensible now. Regulators are going to have to answer for this sooner.
Wait, hold on. Why? Because of this quote?
Occur more quickly for people that have had more doses of mRNA vaccine. I mean, this kind of data that's around now, and the fact that these vaccines are still allowed to be used is just incomprehensible now. Regulators are going to have to answer for this sooner or later, because it's just preposterous now, in my view. So the more doses you get, the sooner you're likely to die within a shorter period. Among the vaccinated, death peak emerged especially between 19 and 120 days post-vaccination. Now, this seems to be the time, sort of 3-4 months, 90 to 120 days post-vaccination.
Okay, hold on. But are these people that were going to die if they would have got COVID? Because, I mean, COVID already has a high mortality rate for those that have, they're called, there's a word for it that I don't remember. But the word that I'm speaking of is that if you are, like, let's say you have a heart condition and you get COVID, you're going to be more likely to die. If you're morbidly obese, you're more likely to die. If you already have breathing problems, when you get COVID, it could be a death sentence. Again, when you interject a vaccine into your body, you're injecting the proteins, or I mean, at least with the mRNA, I think you're injecting the proteins, correct? And it's, look, I'm a layman, boys and ladies and girls and gentlemen and whatever. I'm a layman, okay? But when you inject the vaccine into your body, you are injecting a portion. That's why you can get myocarditis from the vaccine, because you can get myocarditis, which is 17 times more likely or something like. Actually, I think it was way more than that. I said like an absorbent amount on a debate I had that did not go as well as I would hope, because I was kind of misquoted a few things. But yeah, in fact, injecting the vaccine is going to be more dangerous than not doing that. But that's not why we take vaccines. And there's side effects.
Now, of course, doctors are very much aware now of the risk of myocarditis, for example.
Yes,
myopericarditis.
That's the word. Yes.
Occurring typically a day to a week, typically, after vaccination. So when it's been 90 days, 120 days, they've kind of lost interest and don't make the link anymore. But this is what this data shows, that the link is there. Now, we also did a video a few days ago, with Professor Robert Clancy, who has been reviewing a paper by an Australian statistician that shows the three, essentially the same thing, we believe. Excess deaths 3 months after vaccination. Now, we can't say more than that yet because Professor Clancy hasn't released it yet, but that's what's currently being worked on, or the review is doing. The reviewer has not yet released that paper. But it does seem to be a consistency here with the Japanese data, which of course is interesting. So 90 to 120 days, more people start dying. A significant peak forms at 3 to 4 months after vaccination.
Okay.
And I'll show you the peak in a minute. It's probably due to the vaccine's influence, with adverse reactions occurring leading to death. Remember, this is according to Dr. Murakami. Pronunciation, apologies again. Now, so it's probably due to the vaccine's influence, with adverse reactions occurring leading to death. So he sees a clear causal link between these.
Okay.
We found that as the number of doses increase, the peak of deaths appears faster. So in other words, when people have more doses, so So, like, if someone had like 3 doses, the peak might be after about 90 days. No, 120 days rather. But if they had 4 or 5 doses, the peak in deaths would be earlier, maybe about 90 days. That's what he's saying.
Okay.
So, the more vaccines, the greater the risk of death, excess deaths occurring earlier
Makes sense,
after
though.
the vaccine. So, we found that the number of doses increased, the peak of deaths appears faster, meaning the more doses you get, the sooner you're likely to die.
Okay.
Within a short period. So the risk increases with more doses. If the vaccine had no toxicity or didn't induce death, there wouldn't be a peak. That's the point.
No, what the fuck? That's not true at all. If the vaccine doesn't have to have toxicities. No, what the fuck? That's not how vaccines work. Anything you inject into your body is going to have... Everything you put into your body comes at a cost. Vaccines are no different. The more vaccines you get, the worse it's probably going to be for you. Now, vaccines hold off life-threatening diseases that are less bad than the vaccine. Or no, way worse than the vaccine. COVID is more dangerous than the mRNA vaccine. There's already data out there that shows that. The negative side effects of COVID are almost triple to sometimes even way larger than the negative side effects of the vaccine. The vaccine is the lesser of two evils that make things more sustainable through life. Vaccines are used to prevent major issues that could also affect more than just one person. Vaccines, by and large, have saved more lives than any sickness has ever killed. The bubonic plague nearly wiped out the planet. Vaccines have made it to where those things and types of stuff don't really happen as often. Now our sicknesses are COVID. COVID killed a lot of people because a lot of people had comorbidities. But no, that sentence doesn't make any sense. And now I feel like I have to Google that doctor too to see if his opinion is worth anything.
He says. Now, this is one of the graphs that are presented here. Now, what we see is 2 clusters, isn't it? 2 clear clusters. So the vaccinated here, roughly in that line there. I think it just stays a little bit above for quite some time.
Okay, but why are we comparing vaccinated people to unvaccinated people? That's an irrelevant thing. That's not why you get... I mean, I'll check them out, but I've done deep dives into these topics already on a handful of other sites because, you know, MAGA like to say that the vaccines are poisonous and people like RFK Jr. are trying to ban all vaccines and want to spread disease and like, oh, you can just do natural remedies for everything. And like, Ren has already proven you can. Ren has tried all the natural remedies for his sickness. None of it worked. You know what I mean? Like, he went down that pipeline. Some things can work for some people, but we shouldn't be comparing deaths between unvaccinated and vaccinated people. That's not how it works. We should be comparing vaccinated people to unvaccinated people that have COVID or those that have COVID.
And the unvaccinated here. Now, these figures are excess deaths. So that's the unvaccinated there.
How else would you determine a vax is safe? What do you mean? You can't compare it to unvaccinated people because the vaccine is always going to be more dangerous than an unvaccinated person that may not have received COVID because you're still putting something in your body that doesn't need to be there. The vaccine is there to combat a certain thing, right? That's the only way that you can compare it. That's how you check to see if a vaccine is effective. Well, but you're always going to have more people dying when they're vaccinated. You're putting stuff in your body that is adjacent to the actual disease. It's always going to be more dangerous. But that's not what you're using vaccines for. You're using vaccines to thwart a problem. You have to see what the success rate of thwarting that problem is. The unvaccinated have to be people that have COVID, and you have to see the difference between those who die with COVID and those that don't die with COVID. yes, you can have an increase in deaths because you're increasing whatever you're putting into your body. That's true. Like, you know, and the more you put something in your body, the more dangerous it can get to it. The more sugar you drink, the more likely you get diabetes. You know, you can have a Coke every once in a while, but you can't have a Coke every day for fucking 10 years. Now, but maybe these are unvaccinated people that had COVID.
As time goes on. So we see clear differences. Now, the units here aren't entirely clear for translational purposes, but what we've got there is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. So this is linear. It is not a logarithmic scale. So basically, if that's the excess deaths there in the unvaccinated group, we see that the deaths in the vaccinated group are 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 times more. Clear white paper between the group that were vaccinated.
I do like that he has to go into such great detail about how the graph works, because look, I don't want to insult people, but so many people are dumb, and they read the graph, it just doesn't work for them. Yeah, all right, sorry.
And then
that's not a knock on him. It's a knock on like people like me, Americans, that watch this thing and I'm like, I don't understand this graph. You know what I mean?
likelihood of dying, and the group that were not vaccinated and their likelihood of dying. Now, this is based on a study of approximately, this data comes from approximately 18 million people in Japan. That's a pretty convincing sample size, meaning this data is likely to be highly, incredibly highly significant.
I feel like I need to read this whole study myself, though, because he's an objective here. He's a goal.
Notes from the graph: the number of days from final vaccination to death, the number of days from final vaccination to death, and the number of deaths. So what we see here, just it's a bit hard to see, of course. So that's the day of the vaccine there. That's 120 days there. So the peak's 90 to 120 days. That is 240 days there. And that is 360 days.
We're just going to have to agree to disagree. I've spent thousands of hours researching this and other topics. Hey, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm just here to give you my opinion on stuff. I respect you regardless.
There. So basically this is a year after here. So excess deaths in the vaccine group persisting basically for the full year, but significantly so for the first 240 days time. So that graph really is enough to raise questions in the mind of all regulators for all mRNA products.
Okay, but like, are we going over any data that shows that? We're just looking at a graph? Are you going to read the study, or what are we doing here?
Will, but it's enough, in my view.
Yeah, it's because you have a view. I mean, I do too.
Now, where is this from? Let me just show you some of the video here. This is the journalist concerned who facilitated this on March 29th. That call was made, and today, 15th of June, amazingly, data on the number of vaccinations for 80 million people has been compiled. So pretty impressive that they've managed to compile data for 18 million people who were vaccinated.
But you're not going to play the video?
The graph there. Compared vaccine to unvaccinated, as we saw. We've just seen that. Right, so I'm just going to... there's also this paper here, which details this to some extent. But the paper isn't a complete thorough write-up, so we'd have to say this is essentially partly written up. A lot of this evidence comes from the video evidence that's been published of their roundtable.
I would never waste my energy trying to like change someone. Just gonna speak my mind, you know what I mean? And then if it's compelling to you, it's compelling. If it's not, then you know, hey, that's just the way it works. Let's take a look at who this guy is. Oh, where's his Wikipedia? He's probably got one if he's a big old duck guy. Doesn't even have a Wikipedia. Oh, there he goes. That's not him. He doesn't even have a Wikipedia? Okay, like, what? Was this guy a ghost? What the fuck? Okay, well, this is even scarier. Why does this guy not have a fucking Wikipedia? Hold on, so... Okay, that's not... I can't even fact check the source that this guy's coming, like who the guy is. Like that's crazy. What the fuck? Does this guy not have a fucking Wikipedia? So the guy is almost like an unknown ghost. That's a little silly.
Table discussion. Let me show you some more on that now. So these are
and I'm not looking for the study right now. Maybe he's got his bio in here. Here we go. Independent Medical Alliance. Aren't they funded by anti-COVID fucking groups? I've heard something about that before. Dr. Yasu Fumi Murakami, Senior Fellow, Molecular Oncology and Pharmacology, is a PhD and is a distinguished professor of the Department of Biotechnology and Science, Tokyo University of Science, Japan. He's earned his PhD degree from Graduate School of Pharmaceutical Science, Tokyo University, 1984. Currently, he serves as the Vice Director at the Research Center for RNA Science at Tokyo University of Science. He has an extensive academic career. Then why can't I find it? Highlighted by over 100 scientific publications. Why doesn't he have a Wikipedia then? His research spans multiple fields, including the molecular biology of the DNA, tumor viruses, genomic research, functional genomics, and the identification of novel therapeutic targets for various cancers. Additionally, he's involved in the production of those antibiotics, therapeutic. So the thing that Joe Rogan pushes, he makes it. So he has a business incentive to push it. I got it. Okay, well that makes sense. As a professor, emeritus, I don't know how to say that, doctor, through his research and mentored his work on the Research Center, underscores his commitment to advocating, understanding treatment of complex. Okay. The more you know.
Direct quotes from the video. I've just screenshotted them so we get time to look at them. These are direct quotes from the professor. Well, we tried this. This is on 18 million people, and we see the clear difference between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And for unvaccinated peak, no peak forms, which is the expected. So that's this line along the bottom.
Well, okay.
No peak.
No shit. It's excess deaths. This is the normal death rate for people. Like, it's not gonna peak until there's a change. So I mean, even a weird comparison
there, but a rather big peak further up. First 2 weeks had fewer deaths, slightly fewer deaths. From about a month, the peak grows.
Okay, so far
with a significant peak forms at 3 to 4 months. Again, this is from AI translations from the Japanese. What does this mean? Doctors administering the vaccine likely think that within the same day, the next week, or a week, it's probably due to the vaccine's influence with adverse reactions occurring. Right, so what he's saying here is that the doctors in Japan, of course, know that a day or a week or so immediately after vaccine is a risk. If it's 90 days, 120 days, they don't really realise that. That's why doctors haven't realised that this is that these excess deaths are probably, according to this thinking, attributable to
there a reason why you said probably? Try not to get sued, buddy.
The COVID vaccine. Leading to death, again, is a direct translation. This information has been sent to the Japanese regulators, and we do believe that regulators around the world do chit-chat to each other from time to time. So there's really no excuse for this carrying on now. This is the talk here. It includes very reputable people, including Japanese, basically Japanese prime ministers or senators.
Just because Joe Rogan... Right, no, it's not that those things are a bad thing. It's that he's in production of those things, so he has a reason to say that the mRNA vaccine is not good. He has a financial reason to. If he can discredit the vaccine, he can sell his stuff, monoclonal antibodies, and make a fucking killing. So now we understand that he has a financial reason to discredit the virus, especially because he can make billions of dollars if he does that. So now the whole study's pulled into question. It's not to say that the study's bad. We're not even reading the study. Right now we're just on a graph. And the graph so far hasn't really said much other than that people that take the thing are more likely to die, because that's just the way it works. It's the way human bodies are. I don't know about all that so far. Now, hopefully he dives deeper, and hopefully this is more than just a graph, because this so far has proved nothing.
And these are all from those from that video. Now,
you know, like, well, hold on, like, you know, conspiracists say all the time, follow the money. Right. Yeah. Well, on top of that, you always want to allege things. You don't want to. I'm going to get myself in trouble one day because I'm not going to do that, and it's going to blow up in my face. I guarantee it.
as I said, that paper we looked at before was published. I'm going to look at that in a bit more detail, probably on the next video. But this does lack a formal publication. I expect that's in process at the moment. But the fact that we've shown graphs like this mean that alarm bells must be ringing in regulators around the world. What they tend to do with those alarm bells, of course, we have limited information from. They tend not to do that much, actually, but straight hard to explain, but true. But that's the difference between the groups: vaccinated deaths and unvaccinated deaths for a sample of 18 million people. This is really quite hard to argue with. Anyway, let me show you where we've got this from at the moment. As we say, it's largely from this
here we go.
Video that I showed you. So one source, you can watch the whole video there. This is from the Vigilant Fox website. Japan released bombshell vax versus unvaxxed data on 18 million people. We need this data from all around the world. Now, this statistician that Professor Clancy is currently reviewing in Australia, he must have got hold of the vax versus the unvaxxed. Of course, in the UK, it's a secret. We're not allowed to know for reasons of confidentiality. It's interesting. I did talk to the MP David Davis, who was Science Minister a while back, and he assured me that there's ways to make this confidential. There's just no legitimate reason why the vax v unvaxxed death rates are not released in the UK. It's just outrageous censorship, in my view. Anyway, so the video is from the Information Disclosure Request Team of Japan. The journalist and the scientist and the politician. Now, we've already looked at the scientist. That is Professor Murakami. This is from the journalist concerned, that we did show a picture as well. And reluctance from the Japanese government as well. If the government won't do it, then the people investigating the mass deaths, we're talking about mass deaths here, of Japanese people, database of 18 million vaccinated people revealed for the first time. This is a key discovery. The more doses, the more peak shifts, indicating the toxicity accumulates. As we said, more vaccines, people tend to die quicker. The toxicity overlaps. The more doses you receive, the faster people will die. And that's the representative of the Japanese government there, or member of the legislature in Japan, to be more accurate. So these are the pictures from the video. There's this one as well, different graphic. Again, the quotes associated with this. We found that as the number of doses increased, the peaks of death appears faster, meaning the more doses you get, the sooner you're likely to die within a...
Okay, so then why doesn't he just fucking watch the video on here instead of, like, selectively... You know what I mean? Like, this feels like someone reading a study, and then the study will straight up say, this is not accurate, but these are just things that we found and things that we think, and then post it, and then leave out that portion of the study that claim, like, that happened with the Mueller investigation into Trump. Like, in the Mueller investigation, it pointed out to actual credible things proving Trump had actually colluded with Russia through Roger Stone and through multiple other people. And everyone will just be like, Russia hoax. And it's like, well, actually, no. What's the difference percentage-wise, and what are the vaccination protocols, i.e. who is eligible? Yeah, like, so far with what he's given us, this is not
shorter
really...
time period.
Deep enough.
shows that if the vaccine had no toxicity or didn't induce deaths, there wouldn't be a peak.
That's a fucking stupid statement.
Pretty straightforward, really. And the more doses you receive, the faster people die.
No shit.
So there we have it. You can watch there's clips of the video available with translation. Don't know about a translation of the whole video yet. I expect that's to come, and we look forward to more detailed papers.
Copyright
But for now, this is enough.
All right, see you soon, Pixie.
To suspend mRNA vaccines and all COVID vaccines, in my view.
No, there's no reason to suspend
We'll
vaccines.
look at the number of people that have suffered badly in Japan from this. I'm not going to go through it all now, but just to give you a headline figure, when we do this.
Even if vaccines killed 5% of the entire planet, but saved 95% of the planet, that's no reason to suspend vaccines, okay? We just need to do more research and more stuff into vaccines. Like, I don't know why you can be anti-vax in that way, and then, or not necessarily anti-vax, but like, vaccines have helped people. They have saved lives. We have evidence of that. And even if a few people die, that doesn't mean you get rid of all vaccines. You have to find a way to make them safer. That's it. And we can do that. We can go deeper and deeper and deeper. And we made the mRNA vaccine in like 9 months. We can always further improve upon these things. And we can do more studying, more testing. We can find new delivery mechanisms in order to do these things. Like, to stop the vaccine outright just because some people might have a bad we would stop giving medicine because some people have an allergic reaction to it? No fucking shot.
Through it all now, but just to give you a headline figure, when we do this, I'll do this in the next video, I think. So the government has provided payouts for 8,432 injured people in Japan, including 903 deaths. So the Japanese government basically is...
Oh, we need to shut down all vaccines because of 900 deaths. Suck a dick. There was 18 million people in the study, 900 deaths? What?
Compensation for injured people in Japan, including 903 deaths. So the Japanese government basically has paid compensation for 903 deaths. And yet, having caused so many deaths, the vaccines are still being used in many parts of the world for various people, although the sound of backpedaling in the UK is actually quite loud at the moment. If there's that many people injured and died in Japan, it's probable that the same proportions have died all around the world, proportional to the amount of vaccines given. Anyway, we'll look at that paper in the next video. For now, let's just close with this graphic. Pretty alarming and pretty convincing differences between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated groups.
This graph means nothing to me. And his whole video is just this graph.
In terms of deaths over at least a 9-month period. I suppose according to this data, if it's more than a year since your last vaccine, your excess deaths is likely to go down. But as we'll see in the next video, it doesn't account for the cancer risk. But for now, thank you for watching this one.
So when did he make his move to being more anti-vax? It was after his vaccine injury, right? Was it a... Well, as we said earlier, you can't know things 100%. But we have an extensive... It's like, okay, you're doing the thing that... Vivian is I love you, okay? You're doing the thing that I do, all right? One time I got into a debate about whether you know a thing or not. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't know 100% of what degree of effectiveness of vaccines are. No, it's not cognitive dissonance. It's more like I trust the experts wholeheartedly. I don't trust the guys on the peripherals trying to make money. I trust the experts because they have peer study. They have peer studies. They have they make their stuff public. Anyone can go up against them. Like, and if a bad idea is there, we rectify it. That's how science works. That's how all of this works. You put out a theory, we operate off that theory, and then when someone comes up behind you with a better theory and replaces yours and can disprove yours, we use yours. That's how it's supposed to work. So no, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you as a layman that I know exactly how these vaccines work and the exact numbers in which they help people and that they don't help people. To say something like that would be foolish. But I also don't know that the earth isn't round. Right, but was it, did he change his mind, right? Did he change his mind after the cultural shift in America where it became popular to be on the right kind of side of these issues and be more anti-vax where the money is? That's my question. Joe Rogan showed that by pushing pushing down the mRNA and pushing mono body, whatever the fuck, the clonal antibodies or whatever, and horse dewormers and all that other shit. By pushing all that, there was a massive market of money for there, because there's this massive establishment over here, and everybody wants to be the counterculture over here, bucking against that. And you can use compelling interlocutors that can make good arguments, that use really strong rhetoric to kind of prove their point, even though they're not proving really anything. No, he's in the UK. Okay. Well, no, I'm not saying he's American. I'm just saying there was a shift, right? When Donald Trump was running for president, there was a cultural shift, especially after he got shot. We saw a rise around the entire world of right-wing stuff. We saw that the first time in a long time, Canada was about to have a Republican prime minister, and Trudeau was getting trounced in the polls. We saw a lot of movement in Germany about their right-leaning party gaining a lot of popularity in conjunction with Trump, and because we saw massive global inflation, a lot of the pre-established norms that a lot of countries had held, all of those that were in power were kind of being thrusted out because of how hard it was. We saw that globally. We saw a global shift because, unfortunately, America is the largest player in that market. The reason why I say these things is because, one, you saw a lot of shifts from centrist and people that were libertarian at the time go into really hardcore MAGA talking points. Now, I'm not saying this guy's MAGA, and I'm not saying that, all these, I'm just saying that, did his shift happen to coincide with the market and that change? Because if it did, then he could just be chasing money. And because we saw that start happening around Joe Rogan. When Joe Rogan started making his changes, going up against the establishment on that stuff, we saw the market start to skew. And we saw a lot of new YouTubers and the alternative media sphere get taken over by people like Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Sam Hyde, Nick Fuentes, all these people, Russell Brand, Jimmy Dore, where the money was. All of these peoples are charlatans. A lot of them switched their ideas. We even saw with Jordan Peterson. All of them switched their ideas to principles to follow the new market trend that was happening because they could capitalize on it because they already had pre-existing audiences. The dangerous game. I was saying something that I forgot before I started talking. So I got in a debate one time about whether or not we know things truly. I have never been to space. You have never probably been to space. Is the Earth flat or is it round? Well, we're told it's round. I believe it's round. I have no reason to go against the scientific community that it's round. But until you get to space and look at it with your own eyes, can you truly know? That's the difference, right? So, like when you're saying, are you sure that the vaxxers are good? Well, all of the data points that they are. And all of the scientists and a majority of the mass consensus says it is. And there are peer studies and there are reviews that you can go look into. All of these things that point to these issues. Now, can things change? Can bodies adapt? Can things like metastasize? And, things just change. Can a vaccine that was good 20, 50 years ago still be good today if our body goes through a mutation or something? There are so many variables in the humanness that it's a little rough to make claims like that. So when you ask me, do I know if vaccines are safe? The answer is no. Do I trust the current science on it? Yes. Because I'm a guy who plays video games and watches YouTube videos and, debates people about redundant topics that mean really nothing in the grand scheme of things, other than for us to have a good time, laugh, and possibly think about deeper issues. That doesn't mean that I'm ever going to be qualified to talk about something to some great detail like vaccines and tell you that I know unequivocal that a thing is the way that it is. But just like I don't know that the Earth is round, I believe the Earth is round because I've watched the science and we've seen satellite footage and stuff. When you exist in that pocket, well, you don't know. Well, you're right. No one does, except a very small, minor amount of people. Me and you are probably closer to the same level of knowledge on this. And I'm not saying you don't know anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying without physically being there. I don't know what shape this realm is, but large bodies of waters lay flat. Just saying. They don't lay flat, though. All right. We got one more to do. Well, we got a lot more stuff to do. I'm going to be on here until, what are we at now? 3 hours? We got 3 hours more to go. I mean, I appreciate the way that he broke down what he did. When the paper's out, I bet you he'll go page by page by page. All right. As of November 18th, 2024, Japan, after COVID, government has made payouts for 8,000 injuries and 900 deaths. Okay, so 900 potentially have died. Okay, out of 18 million people? Okay. One, Jordan Peterson in his video, or his thing, was claiming that there was a 20% increase of excess deaths. 20%. 900 dead of 18 million is not, is not a large amount. The amount of people that the vaccine potentially saved is, as callous as this sounds, is probably worth that. Now, as an American, it's hard for me to ever, I will never defend mandatory vaccines. I will never defend them. I will never defend a vaccine passport. I lost my job at Cox Automotive because I refused to force my technicians to get a vaccine. They told me I had to, did it. But my employees, I was not going to make them. I told my boss flat out, if I make these guys get a vaccine, every one of these blue-collar blokes are going to quit. They're going to walk out the door. Our pay is not good enough. One, technicians know that they're a rarity in our world. People willing to work on heavy-duty vehicles or vehicles in general and do stuff with their hands are a rarity. And there's a reason why these people make about $25 to $50 an hour. But guess what? They can make that money at another company that isn't about to do the thing that you're doing. And they were like, all right, dude, you're fired. So I quit that. All right, I got fired. I left that day. The next day, every 20 of my technicians quit when they told them they had to get the vaccine. They all quit. They all walked right the fuck out of the building. Blue collar boys don't give a fuck. These are your fucking champions. These are your heroes. You need them to do your job. Your business does not exist without them. You demand nothing of them other than to do your job. Okay? When they did that, every tech walked. The next day, or that within an hour, all of them got rehired. They got a raise, and they were told that they will never do that again. And they asked me to come back. I told them to suck my dick. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to work for a company that is willing to do that to their employees. I understand when I'm in management, I have to do different things. And I was making about $100,000 a year. I'll get a vaccine for $100,000 a year. I think he was in. But so I will never defend vaccine mandates or vaccine passports or any of that stuff. That's bullshit. You should always get with your doctor, confer with your doctor, and find out based off of your own capabilities and stuff like that. Like you go to a doctor, talk to your doctor about with whatever your pre-existing conditions are, what your body is, someone that you trust with your own medical information, and ask them, is the vaccine safe for you? Because you could have something that the vaccine could be counteract. You could be allergic to the vaccine. There could be things within the vaccine that are unhealthy for you. Never listen to a guy on the internet. Always go talk to your doctor. If your doctor says the vaccine should be safe for you and you already trust him with every other aspect of your life, get the vaccine. If your doctor tells you maybe you shouldn't get it, you know, then don't get it. You know what I mean? And if someone wants to tell you you're a piece of shit for not getting the vaccine, like, bro, you don't know what my conversation with my doctor is. Fuck off. Maybe the vaccine could have a negative effect on motherfuckers that are 400 pounds. Maybe the vaccine could have a negative effect on a diabetic. You don't know these things. No one knows these things. You have to trust the experts. So I will never tell someone vaccine mandates are good. Someone has to go over there against their will and stick a needle in their arm and shove something in their arm they know nothing about. I believe in freedom. But that doesn't mean I don't trust the science and I don't trust the experts that are saying that it's a good idea to get vaccines universally. But always confer with your doctor. And no company should be able to tell me that. No president should tell me that. You know, that's bullshit. And that's where I think a majority of people stepped away from the left and, you know, the establishment and whoever was in power at the time, because they tried to force things on you. Compelling people through force is bad. That's why we try to compel through law. Even though laws are force, they're a soft force. They're a force like, hey, we will fuck you up if you break a law, but if you don't, we're gonna kind of let you do your thing. That's how you can do things like that. Assuming you have a decent doctor. Well, that is a rough one. It's never a bad idea to get a second opinion, but if your doctor straight up says not to get it, I mean, I would never knock a guy for not getting it. I don't knock people who didn't get the vaccine. I understand it. You know, if you want to, you know, your body, your choice. I believe that for, you know, women when they're pregnant. I believe that for people when they're seeking their own medical stuff. So I will never be the guy to defend all vaccines and stuff like that, just so you know. My problem with what he was saying here was that, and it's not even really a problem. And maybe it's just because he got this, and he's got 3 million people that watch. He's got to keep he's got to keep the content going. Maybe one of these days he'll do a real deep dive into whatever's coming out. That's fair too. And I mean, with the Renegades, it makes sense. I mean, we saw in real time that a doctor really fucked up with Ren. But then we also saw in real time that one of the doctors knew it immediately. Told him straight up, bro, you got Lyme disease. It's hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are malleable. People are people. People can change. People can learn. They can adapt. They can be wrong. They can be right. They can be wrong for the right reasons. They can be right for the wrong reasons. Just be careful. At the end of the day, your life is your own. No one can tell you what to do. And if they try to, may God have mercy on their soul. I imagine a lot of the people that we know in this group of this little crew gang people hanging out, we'd be a lot rougher on people if they got a little fancy with us. But you have to weigh the pros and cons yourself. Decisions are hard. I loathe going to the dude. Be careful with what I say. I haven't been in a doctor's office in 10 years, man. A fly got in because I went outside and smoked a cigar. All right. We'll put the reaction to this one on the internet too, because I want to do just more than music, mainly because reacting to stuff like this, there are no copyright strikes typically. There are no, having to put my money into, having the money that goes to my account into escrow, and none of that happens when I react to like a debate or news or anything like that. They're just happy someone's watching and spreading their message. Even Ren will, he does help you get out of it. But here, I'll show you what I'm talking about so you can see. Only 2 professions that doesn't work, but merely practice law and medicine. That's true too. That is true that he was a Lyme specialist. But that's kind of gangster. All right, so I want to show you what I'm talking about, so you guys. So you guys can see. I gotta switch this over to bam. All right. So whenever I upload a video, they get hit with copyrights right here, as you can see. Now when I do League of Legends, there's none. So all the money that video makes, I get. Whoa, what was that? Oh, all right. So as you can see here, even Ren's copyright. That's okay because Ren helps you get out of it. So right now, and I even stopped using Ren's website because it usually clears up in a couple days. So what happens here is I release a video, and when I upload it, it goes through a check. And then when that happens, it'll click this off and it'll say ineligible, and I'll show you like right here through my lives here. This will happen because I was listening to a song that was copyrighted when I was playing when last time I streamed or whatever. So it'll pop up, you cannot monetize stuff. And then you can always go into the copyright section, see details. It'll tell you, haha, it'll tell you all of the stuff that is copyrighted. And I could probably actually remonetize these. But then you take action, you can come in and you can dispute the song, or you can cut it out or something like that. Now this is what you do for Ren. You come in and dispute the song. It'll tell you what a dispute does, and then you have to give your reasons, such as fair use, which I wasn't using fair use, so it's not going to work. And then you obviously have to say that you're doing it. And then here you type in what it's for, song parody. Most people use reaction in here. I do not, even though I no longer see it. I've been doing commentary, and then you type in what your argument is, and then you send it, right? The reason why I say all that is because when that happens, this money stops activating. All the money that this video now would make will now go to the person who owns the copyrighted content. Why is it beeping like that? What's that? Oh, does that make that sound every time someone messages? Cool. But then when I do my request, it'll kick into something like this. It'll go into escrow. So while the copyright thing is playing out, it creates an escrow account, and then any money that account video made, depending on who wins the copyright claim, then gets that money. Now, all of these, all music for some reason goes into copyright, other than a handful, such as the Ren one didn't. That one, any video game thing doesn't do it. The videos I make from this ground up don't do it. And then Ren typically releases them. I don't know why the